Hi, welcome to the Dynamic Duel podcast, a weekly show where we review superhero films and debate the superiority between Marvel and DC by comparing their characters in stat-based battle simulations. I'm Marvelous Joe.
And I'm his twin brother, Johnny DC.
And I know we said in our last episode that we were going to do Robot Man vs. Thing, but we thought about it and we decided that it would be a little bit more exciting to do fucking Spectre versus Galactus.
Whoa, oh my god.
Totally out of left field, but we're doing this because we have a series of episodes planned leading up to the Shazam review, and we felt like this would be the perfect time to do this particular matchup. The Spectre and Galactus both being cosmic level deities with power levels that are just, they can't even compare to any of Earth's heroes.
We have never done characters this powerful before. Like, we've gotten close with Thanos and Darkseid.
Yeah.
But those guys aren't quite at the same level as these guys yet.
Right. And the power levels of both of these characters kind of vary wildly depending on which story you're reading about them. Like, Galactus can be weakened if he doesn't like eat for a long time, and the Spectre can be weakened if he's not like attuned with his host or some dumb shit. I don't know. But there's no real clear answer here, and I think that's what makes this matchup exciting, because they're both very different, but they're both very powerful. So
yeah, I have no idea who's coming out on top.
Yeah.
This is going to be an exciting match.
Yeah. Yeah, and it might be like an entirely one-sided match in the end. Who knows? But
oh gosh, I hope not.
It's going to be a fun experiment either way. So stay tuned to later on this episode when we get into that matchup.
But before that, we're going to break down the news items from the past week. The Avengers Endgame official trailer dropped last week.
Total surprise.
James Gunn
is back, baby.
The traitorous James Gunn will write and direct Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, apparently. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
And then just a small bit of news. Destin Daniel Cretton has signed on to direct Marvel's Shang-Chi film.
Yeah, I don't have too much to say about that, but it's worth noting. So, you could go ahead and look at our episode description at the show notes where we list the time codes for the topics that we talk about, so you can jump ahead and skip through the episode if you want to. Quick shout out to everyone who has rated us on iTunes and Apple Podcasts. We're up to 86 ratings now, so we got just one rating from last week.
And I'm pretty sure it's my sister-in-law's new boyfriend who I kind of forced to give us a rating. They're like, no, you don't have to. I was like, yes, he does.
Should we give up on this? I don't want to give up on this.
No, I definitely don't want to.
If you guys have listened to the show before, as you may know, we're trying to get to 200 ratings on Apple Podcasts so that we become eligible to become critics on the Rotten Tomatoes platform and have our reviews of these Marvel and DC movies count toward their tomato meter, which we think would be huge. So, again, if you guys could help us out with that by rating us on iTunes or at least share the podcast with someone that you know has an iTunes account, that would be fantastic, and we would appreciate it forever.
With all of our hearts.
And with that out of the way,
quick, to the No Prize! So No Prize is an award that Marvel used to give out up until the 90s to fans. Our version, the Dynamic Duel No Prize, is a digital award that we post on social media that I personally draw for those who we feel gave the best answer to our question of the week. Last week's question was, which DC supervillain do you most hope appears as a member of the Suicide Squad in the next film? We got a lot of great answers for this one. So the criteria I used to judge which answer was the best was a DC villain who I didn't want to see debut in another DC character's film.
Makes sense.
So with that being said, honorable mention goes to Danky King for the answer Dr. Light.
And in which film would you like to see Dr. Light appear in?
Actually, he would be a good fit for the Suicide Squad, but I didn't think he would be the best fit for this film.
Okay. Honorable mention also goes to Caleb Albers, who answered the Riddler, which I loved that answer. I thought that'd be really cool to have someone like as smart as Amanda Waller, pretty much.
Yeah, that's true. But I think a big part of the team also is that the members aren't necessarily smart, which is why Amanda Waller is able to manipulate them, and showcase their like larger than life powers and abilities.
Gotcha. Honorable mention also goes to Matt Estes, who wants to see Hive, the acronym Hive.
Which is an interesting answer because that's a terrorist organization in the comics. It's not like one character.
Okay. Maybe they'll go up against the Hive or something like that?
Maybe.
Honorable mention also goes to Will Snyder, who gave the answer of Reverse Flash. Now, remember, Reverse Flash was a primary bad guy of the Suicide Squad Hell to Pay cartoon that came out last year, and he was so badass.
That was fantastic. That was a really good Suicide Squad storyline for sure.
But you want to save him for the Flash movie?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. He has to be the Flash villain first.
But you could introduce him here, no?
I don't think you could introduce him in this film. I think you have to introduce him in a Flash film.
Okay. And the final honorable mention goes to Ken Johnson, who gave the answer of Sinestro.
And, same reason, I think you definitely need to introduce Sinestro in a Green Lantern film.
Would this not be a great way, though, to kind of reintroduce the Lantern concept into the DC universe?
So the problem with that, though, is that Sinestro would have to join the Suicide Squad team as a Green Lantern because he wouldn't have yet made the switch to being a Yellow Lantern unless you're taking the Ryan Reynolds film into continuity. I don't think you want to do that.
I guess. Those are all great answers.
They are. But the best answer goes to Joel Seagrave, our winner for this week's Question of the Week, who gave the answer Amazo. Which, if you're not familiar with him, he's sort of like this robot who was designed to have all of the powers of the Justice League. And since we've already had a Justice League movie and everyone is familiar with those characters, I think that makes him an established sort of character in a way.
And it would build off the existing continuity. I mean, if that's what they're deciding to do with the DC universe, I'm not quite sure.
You can or you can't. It doesn't matter. As long as they're already familiar with the Justice League characters, I think this works.
Gotcha. Yeah, well, congrats to Joel Seagrave. The answer was Amazo. And if you, the listener, want to win your own No Prize, go ahead and stay tuned to later on this episode when we'll be asking another question of the week. And now that that's done,
on to the news.
So, Dank, who was expecting to get a new Avengers Endgame trailer this past week?
I wasn't.
I certainly was not.
I wasn't.
Like, I woke up and all of a sudden it was just there waiting for me, like a Christmas present.
You think it would have been before the Captain Marvel film?
Yeah, it's a little weird that they're releasing it like a week after that movie came out, but I think they're trying to get the hype train going for the Endgame movie, which comes out in just like a little over a month, which is amazing. That's so soon. And with Captain Marvel still fresh in people's minds, you know, it had a huge box office opening. It's doing extremely well at the box office. I think they want to get the word out in front of people as soon as possible to ensure the biggest possible opening gross for this film. It's going to be huge.
I am really hoping it beats Avatar and Titanic.
You still hold a grudge against James Cameron for what he said about Wonder Woman.
Fuck James Cameron. Hashtag fuck James Cameron.
Well, I mean, you never know. It might just happen for this film. It might get the highest grossing movie ever, but I think it'll do probably just a little bit better than Infinity War.
Really?
Yeah, but I think ballpark around there. But this trailer starts off so wonderfully by reminding us of the legacy and history of these characters that we've grown to love over these past 10 plus years, 11 years now. And I love how they portray these past scenes in black and white and then jump to the present in color. And we see how far these characters have come from their initial appearances. With Tony Stark in his broken Mark I armor stuck in the sand.
Yeah.
Or Captain America going to the recruitment center and standing up to that reflective display.
Yeah.
And everything like that. It's really nice that they're doing this. And allegedly the film contains some time travel aspects where we go back and revisit some of these past scenes. And the movie really seems just like a love letter to the Marvel Cinematic Universe in general, which is, I think, is a great way for some of these actors to leave the franchise on, such as Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans.
I would be kind of surprised if we went back to these specific scenes. In a way, this trailer is almost kind of like cheating because, you know, it's making us excited for this film and the fact that it's showing us these nostalgic moments from past films.
Right.
But really, it's just filler. You know?
Well, yeah, I mean, it is a way to avoid showing us too much of this film. I think they've done an amazing job of promoting this film and building excitement without actually showing much of the actual film.
It's true. With these scenes being in black and white, it's a good way of cueing in the viewer that, hey, this isn't actual footage from the film. This is just the stuff you already love and know and are familiar with and get pumped.
Right, I'm pumped. I think the first big surprise of the trailer comes through Clint Barton's Hawkeye character and how he's training perhaps his daughter or perhaps just another student, but it's definitely Kate Bishop, who became Hawkeye during the whole Avengers Disassembled event. She joined the Young Avengers and has been a great archer hero ever since.
Wait, his daughter is Kate Bishop?
I don't know if that's what they're doing in this movie. It kind of seems that way. I assume that Kate is his daughter and he loses his entire family during Thanos' snap.
Right.
We switch from that to seeing just how down and in despair Hawkeye is in his Ronin costume when he becomes kind of like a dark, like vigilante ninja type character.
Yeah.
There's another really long flashback scene later on where we see a lot of the heroes who have died. They spend like a good 20 to 30 seconds just showing us scenes from Infinity War as well.
Spoiler alert.
Before they go back to the present and show like some of the characters' current reactions to the events that have gone down.
Everyone's still sad.
sad.
Scott Lang definitely looks surprised at seeing everything that's going on.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder how long he's been in the quantum realm.
Right, yeah, definitely. We see Rocket Raccoon, and he's hanging out with War Machine. I really hope that he upgrades War Machine's armor. I think that would be awesome to see, because he definitely has the technological mind to, enhance Tony Stark's designs. There are a few quick shots here that I think happened more toward the end of the film, including Captain America kind of like battle weary and angry in his full costume.
Oh yeah, he definitely looks like he's just been through some stuff.
Yeah, and we see Ant-Man jumping off of a pencil.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's happening during the same scene, but I'm not sure where the heroes would be fighting Thanos. What location would there just be a number 2 pencil hanging around?
It's a classroom.
I wouldn't even know where to guess. But right before the title card, as one of the final shots of the trailer, we see all the heroes in their quantum realm suits, their new sleek uniforms. They're all matching. It looks pretty damn cool. And we get pretty much the roster of who's going back in time or wherever they're going.
Allegedly. I mean, honestly, with these trailers, I've just been wondering, like, which scene is like the plant? Which scene is the one that's put in there to fool me? You know, like they did for so many scenes in the Infinity War trailers.
That's true. Yeah, that's true, because we had the Hulk in the final battle in Wakanda and everything like that.
Yeah.
That's absolutely valid statement. So we see like Robert Downey Jr. walking down, and a lot of people are like, oh, it's a spoiler, you know. It likely is. I definitely think he goes back in time, but one never knows. Like, where's Captain Marvel in this group? I thought she was going to go back in time with him. Maybe she's not. Speaking of Captain Marvel, after the title card, we get this kind of like weird, awkward moment where she and Thor are like staring each other down. I assume like recognizing each other's power and trying to gauge through their presence which one is the most powerful, perhaps.
That's weird.
He summons Stormbreaker back to him, and he's like, I like this one. And she kind of like smiles, you know? Like, I'm not entirely enthused with like Brie Larson's performance here. Like, she still seems rather dull. And, you know, she wasn't really that dull in the Captain Marvel movie. But the Captain Marvel trailers and this trailer make her seem like she's just a mannequin, you know? I want to see a lot more personality coming out of her. I want to see that she's grown as like a person. She really knows who she is now ever since her adventures out with the Skrulls out in the universe.
Right.
The way this is cut, it makes me think that it's heavily edited, but it's kind of an interesting gag, just them sizing each other up in the trailer. I think that was the best of the 3 trailers. I think I liked it more than the second one. Although the second trailer did have Chris Evans' awesome jaw acting, so I don't know. I think mainly I like this trailer for its nostalgic appeal, going back and hearkening to the early days of the MCU. I really appreciated that. And I hope, again, the film does have a lot of that. But let's move on to the news about James Gunn, another big, huge surprise that came out on the exact same day as this trailer. We learned that director James Gunn will be returning to helm the 3rd installment of the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise. Last Friday was a super phenomenal day for Marvel fans.
When the news dropped, people started tagging us on Twitter, and that's how I learned about the news. And I just remember going, liking their posts, just like, I'm so happy for you. But no, in reality, I am super, super bothered by this news.
That's surprising to me, because I almost feel like this is almost like the best case scenario for both franchises, considering how much of a creative mind James Gunn is.
Don't get me wrong, like, I'm still excited that James Gunn is directing Suicide Squad 2, but what makes me most disheartened by this news is the fact that you can't serve 2 masters. He's already going back to Marvel. It feels to me like there's no incentive for him to establish any kind of franchise with this team, with this property, because he already has his next gig going on. His Suicide Squad film, is probably going to be really different from David Ayer's first Suicide Squad film.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, we know it is. It even has a different lead actor in Deadshot, right?
Right.
So what's going to happen to this franchise? What's going to happen to this extended DC universe? I don't want one-off films. I don't want one-shot films. I wanted this to be a franchise led by James Gunn, and that's not going to happen. I'm pretty confident.
Well, I mean, one never knows. After he's done directing Guardians of the Galaxy 3, he may return to the Suicide Squad franchise, or at least perhaps leave it in capable hands. I mean, if he doesn't, then you could always bill Suicide Squad as kind of like the one-off franchise, considering that most of these films will probably have a different cast of characters anyway.
I just hate that idea. I want some consistency in the DC films.
Uh-huh.
I want what Marvel has. And I thought we were one step closer to getting that. I know in past episodes of this podcast, we mentioned, like, you know, let James Gunn prove himself with Suicide Squad 2, you know, and then maybe he could do Superman. And then maybe, you know, he could start to build up the cinematic universe again.
Uh-huh.
That's definitely not going to happen now.
You just want to keep the brilliant creative minds with DC.
Absolutely. I mean, we have the better storylines. We have the better characters.
But do you, though?
I used to think James Gunn thought so.
Well, we know that he's definitely a fan of Superman because he's coming out with Brightburn, which is like kind of like an evil Superman.
Well, even that makes me feel like, well, this is kind of Not good, in a way, because that's like almost a parody of like Zack Snyder's Man of Steel film. Like even the trailer was a direct parody of it,
Yeah.
And it makes me feel like it's almost an insult. It's like if someone made like an evil Nazi version of Captain America, you wouldn't think, oh, that guy has a handle on the characters.
Yeah, but thankfully it seems like DC is starting to move away from that whole Man of Steel kind of gritty universe vibe.
You mean with like Aquaman's vibe?
Right, and and Wonder Woman's too.
I suppose, but again, I didn't hate Man of Steel. I liked that.
Right.
I liked the take. I liked the sci-fi take. I liked the realistic take on it. It was sort of like an attempt to do a Dark Knight version of Superman,
It was a take that was perhaps ripe for parody. One of the problems with Man of Steel, as we discussed in the review, is that it perhaps took itself a little bit too seriously for a character that should feel a little bit more fun on the page. I think James Gunn definitely brings that funness to it. I think the Suicide Squad film is going to be as fun as the Guardians of the Galaxy films.
But not the next film.
But be thankful for what you have as a DC fan.
It's hard. It's really hard, especially, with Kevin Tsujihara just announcing his resignation.
Yeah.
That probably means the DC universe is going to shift in another direction.
Well, you still have Kevin Hamada, who's in charge of the DC Films division. What do you think of the fact that Disney kind of made like this back alley deal with James Gunn to go ahead and bring him back on the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 project once things kind of died down regarding his offensive tweets that he made about a decade ago?
I'm not surprised they did it, honestly. I'm not surprised. But it does make me trust James Gunn less and trust Disney less.
Mm-hmm. In terms
bunch of shady motherfuckers over there.
Yeah, I won't say that is not shady, but I guess the ends justify the means because we're getting the guy who should be directing the final installment of the franchise that he really helped pioneer.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely true. Like, honestly, if James Gunn wasn't going to do Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, I probably wouldn't have wanted it to go to anyone else.
I wouldn't even trust anybody else with picking the Awesome Mix Volume 3.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter because he's back on, and it's fantastic. Maybe not for DC guys, but for Marvel guys. So kind of a mixed bag of news here.
Yay. So happy for you.
That brings us to our question of the week. So now that we're all back aboard the hype train for Guardians of the Galaxy 3, who do you think the primary villain should be for that film? Post your answer to our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or email us at dynamicduelpodcast@gmail.com. We'll pick our favorite answer and draw that person a Dynamic Duel No Prize that we'll post to social media. Moving on to the last bit of news, Destin Daniel Cretton has signed on to direct Marvel's Shang-Chi film. Now, we announced about a month and a half ago, that a Shang-Chi film was in the works. And I thought it was fantastic because now we get kind of like a more down-to-earth style martial arts film in the mainstream. And, kung fu films have been out of the mainstream for quite a while now, but we've had recent greats like Ong Bak the Thai Warrior and films like The Raid.
The Raid.
Things like that.
I love The Raid. If this could be anything close to The Raid. Kung Fu films are awesome. I still remember watching Bruce Lee films and Jackie Chan films from when I was younger. If this could capture that same magic, I would just be thrilled.
Yeah, same here. I guess the main problem is that I don't know any of Cretton's work. He's done a film called Just Mercy, The Glass Castle, Scenes from Mirrors, which is a TV series. He did a movie called I'm Not a Hipster. He has quite a body of work. It's just that I've never heard or seen any of it.
Is he a TV director?
He's done quite a bit of TV work, yeah, but he's also done a lot of film work as well.
Well, and I'm not surprised. Marvel kind of has a tendency to do that.
Yeah, they don't always pick the biggest names for the role. I do tend to trust their decision-making processes.
Yeah, they have yet to choose a bad director.
Right.
Except for maybe, who's the director of Thor 2?
Oh, Alan Taylor. But, he directed so many Games of Thrones episodes that were so fantastic. So, who would have known? I think that was more of a last-minute call. I think what they typically look for is Marvel has a clear idea of what they want their film to be, and then choose the director that pitches the most interesting version of that same film.
It just shows a real passion for the character.
Yeah. Although, you can say this about a lot of Marvel directors, actually, including the Russo brothers,
Yeah.
Who would have ever thought that they'd be one of the most, pioneering action directors of our current era?
And now their market value has, gone through the roof because they've directed how many billion-dollar films?
Exactly. It's crazy. So, yeah, we'll see what comes out of this. I can't wait till they start, casting this role and we start seeing, some of the concept art.
We'll definitely have to do a dual episode with Shang-Chi before the film comes out.
Oh, definitely.
We'll pit him against, Richard Dragon or something like that.
Oh, that would be a good matchup.
Or Lady Shiva.
Oh, that would be good.
Lady Shiva would fuck him up.
I don't think so, man. But yeah, that does it for all the news for this episode. Let's go ahead and get into our duel match where we find out who's going to win in a fight between Spectre and Galactus. Okay, the Spectre versus Galactus, two really powerful entities of the DC and Marvel universes, respectively. This is gonna be kind of like an experimental type episode because of the varying power levels of these characters, because of the ill-defined power levels of these characters.
Yeah, you look at some of their feats, and we know that their abilities are basically off of our charts that we keep of our stats.
Right.
But we don't know, like, how far.
Exactly. So what we're going to have to do really is kind of go the limit breaker route where, the highest value for these stats according to the Marvel Power Rankings is a 7. We're going to have to maybe jump that up.
Let's crank it to 11.
Yeah, maybe 11. Who knows? We're going to have to figure this out.
Maybe 12.
But it's going to be interesting nevertheless. Who knows? This might not even be a great matchup. But you know what? No one knows.
Let's find out.
So what we do in this podcast is we go ahead and we take the stats of each character and we run them through a probabilistic model known as a Monte Carlo simulation, which randomizes those base stat numbers along a normal distribution. So it's all math and science. It's a very scientific approach to address the question of who would win.
Right. We run the simulation 1,000 times, and that gives us a percentage of wins for each character. No one character ever wins 100% of the time, or they haven't yet, at least.
Right.
I doubt that'll happen here.
No, it would be a horrible matchup.
Yeah. But, there's always one way for one character to defeat another.
And this represents that, basically.
Right.
We pick the character with the highest percentage of wins out of the 1,000 matches and declare them the overall winner, since it's more likely that in any given scenario, that person will beat the other.
Right. Not always, but most of the time.
Right. So it's not based off of fan votes. It's not based off of uncharacteristic feats of strength. It's
with these guys, who knows?
That's true.
They pop up so rarely, it's hard to say that anything from them is uncharacteristic.
Right. That's actually entirely true. But before we go ahead and run the simulations, what we like to do is give a breakdown of the histories and powers of each character. So we'll go ahead and do that, and we'll start off with Galactus. So let me tell you all about the man who survived the end of the universe. Galactus' real name is Galan. He was once a scientist on the planet Ta, the most advanced civilization in the entire universe, the 6th incarnation of the Marvel Universe specifically, as Marvel constantly undergoes a cosmic cycle of death and rebirth.
Oh, it's like Ragnarok.
Yeah. In the beginning, in Marvel canon, a big bang erupted from a dense singularity of primordial matter known as a cosmic egg, giving birth to a multiverse that expanded for billions of years before eventually contracting in on itself and creating a new cosmic egg. Near the end of the 6th iteration of this cycle, the planet Ta was one of the last remaining civilizations left. Galan was sent out by his people to explore space and find a way to save them, but he was unsuccessful. Knowing his universe's demise was imminent, he piloted his starship into the heart of the cosmic egg in a last-ditch effort to save his people. As he entered the singularity, the cosmic embodiment of the universe, that reality's version of eternity, merged with Galan as all existence ended and a new universe was born in another big bang. The merger between the embodiment and Galan formed a new being, Galactus, the sole survivor of the universe that existed before. With the birth of the 7th incarnation of the Marvel Universe came 2 new embodiments, one named Eternity and another named Infinity. Galactus drifted among the developing cosmos for millennia, slowly evolving into his current form. During this time, his ship was discovered by one of the Watchers, the oldest race of beings in the universe tasked with observing and recording events. The Watcher discovered the developing Galactus was a being of incomprehensible power, the balance between eternity, life, and death, who would one day need to consume entire planets just to sustain his energy. The Watcher considered destroying Galactus at that time, but didn't due to his oath of non-interference. Galactus' body developed a suit of armor to contain his body's vast energies, and his starship transformed into an incubator. It drifted into the orbit of a planet called Archaeopia, where the native race attacked it with a space armada. Galactus emerged out of his incubator in his completed form and destroyed the fleet with a wave of his hand, and then consumed the planet's energy. Initially, a planet would sustain him for hundreds of years, and he traveled to the universe feeding off of planets that were uninhabited. However, as eons passed, he found himself growing hungrier, quicker, and began feeding off planets with intelligent life, recognizing himself as a higher life form. One day, he came across the planet of Zen La in an attempt to consume it. However, one of its inhabitants, named Norin Rad, pleaded with Galactus to spare his planet, and in exchange, he would seek out uninhabited worlds to devour. Galactus agreed and imbued Norin with the power cosmic, transforming him into his herald, the Silver Surfer. And we don't currently have a Duel episode featuring the Silver Surfer, but we will eventually because he is badass.
I've been dying to pit Silver Surfer against Orion.
Oh, it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
When we find the right time for it.
Right.
So despite having the Surfer seek out worlds for him, Galactus came across Earth and became determined to feed off the energy-rich planet. The Fantastic Four fought back against the World Devourer, and the Silver Surfer ended up rebelling against his master. They were able to deter Galactus by threatening to use a weapon called the Ultimate Nullifier, which Galactus had created. It had the power to not only destroy him, but the universe itself. He left and punished the Silver Surfer by confining him to Earth for a time.
Why would he create that?
Because it's just one of his weapons.
Jeez.
He took on a succession of new heralds such as Terex the Tamer, Firelord, Nova, Stardust, and Airwalker, as well as others, as he traveled the cosmos devouring more planets full of sentient life. The Silver Surfer took back his mantle as herald and led Galactus to the Shi'ar Empire, the most technologically advanced race of beings in the universe, where they and the Silver Surfer were able to turn Galactus' energy siphoning machines against him, transforming him into a giant sentient star. His death resulted in the emergence of an entity called Abraxas, who embodied the concept of destruction. This led the Fantastic Four to find and assemble the pieces of the missing Ultimate Nullifier, which Abraxas then stole. The son of Mr. Fantastic, an invisible woman, used his celestial-level reality warping powers to restore Galactus to his previous form, and as Galactus and Abraxas fought, Mr. Fantastic used the Ultimate Nullifier to destroy Abraxas. During the Annihilation event, the Negative Zone dimension invaded in an effort to conquer the universe. Thanos teamed with the Nihilists to find a way to weaken Galactus, which they did by freeing the Proemial gods, Aegis and Tenebris, who were imprisoned by Galactus many millennia ago. Together, they subdued Galactus long enough for Thanos to entrap him and siphon the power cosmic to power the Annihilation Wave, the eventual plan being to turn Galactus into a bomb that would destroy all life forms in the universe.
Jeez.
He was eventually freed by the Silver Surfer and, in his rage, unleashed an omnidirectional blast that destroyed most of Annihilus' army, 3 solar systems, and a member of the Watchers.
Dang.
He then went and destroyed the gods Aegis and Tenebris for their earlier attack. During the incursions that happened during the Secret Wars event, the multiverse collapsed in on itself, was saved by Doctor Doom, and was rebuilt by the Fantastic Four, creating the 8th incarnation of the Marvel Universe.
Oh wow.
The Ultimates, on a mission to solve universe-level threats, forced Galactus into his previous starship incubator and accelerated his evolution with Neutronium. He emerged no longer the devourer of worlds, but the Life-Bringer, with the ability to restore the planets he had consumed, as well as all the life that inhabited it.
Wait, so is Marvel still 616?
Yes, it is. It's the 616 universe, but it's the 8th iteration of it.
Wow.
An entity called the First Firmament, who was the embodiment of the very first Marvel Universe, tried to restore his place in the cosmic order, and Galactus teamed up with Eternity to stop him. Recently, he kind of went back to his World Eater ways when he consumed the planet Scythe on behalf of the Silver Surfer in order to stop Ultron from taking over the universe. So that's his history. Powers-wise, Galactus possesses power that is limitless. He is the source of the power cosmic and one of the most powerful beings in Marvel. When fully satiated, he's as powerful as the abstract deities of the universe such as Lord Chaos and Master Order, just below the level of Eternity and Infinity, who are the embodiments of everything. Even in a weak and hungry state, Galactus was still able to hold his own against the Phoenix Force, who, as we learned in our Raven vs. Phoenix duel, possesses enough energy to destroy the universe. He has defeated gods like the Celestials and Odin, as well as the Proemial gods, the first organisms created after the Big Bang. He is immortal, has limitless strength, can travel faster than light, is invulnerable to all but the most powerful world-ending attacks, has unleashed energy blasts that have affected entire galaxies, can create impenetrable force fields, he can fly, teleport, he can communicate telepathically,
my gosh.
He can alter his size, transmute elements, restructure matter, including his own, he can create life, enhance other life forms and bestow them with powers, and is among the universe's most advanced minds, having created devices that Mr. Fantastic couldn't even begin to comprehend. Some of these devices include his starships, his energy converters, and even the ultimate nullifier, which he can use to destroy not only a universe, but entire timelines. Graphically, it kind of resembles the Omega Beams when he uses it.
Interesting.
Which makes sense because they were both created by Kirby.
Right.
His greatest power, however, is his ability to absorb energy, and he needs to absorb energy in order to survive. Without his consumption of planetary energy, he would grow weak and eventually die.
How big have you seen him grow?
He's grown as big as a star.
That's not even fucking big at all.
It was like a really big star. But I guess in one future timeline, he grew as big as a galaxy in order to consume it.
All right, that's a little bigger.
So there's no real limit to his size manipulation.
Okay, just curious, because there was one instance of the Spectre growing big enough so that his eyes were 23 light years apart.
That's maybe about as big as a galaxy, yeah?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I have no idea how big a galaxy is. But I'm going to say yes.
Yes. So yeah, can Spectre do all that?
That and then some, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I don't actually know, but I'm pretty sure. Let me get into the Spectre's history. So the Spectre was created by Jerry Siegel, who also created Superman. The character is the DC Universe's spirit of vengeance and the living embodiment of God's divine wrath on Earth. DC's version of the Judeo-Christian God is sometimes referred to as the Presence or the Voice. So, in the beginning, the Presence created the heavens and the heavenly hosts that resided within them. He appointed several angels to represent specific aspects of himself, such as his divine wrath or mercy. According to DC mythology, 3 seconds after creation, Lucifer Morningstar led a rebellion of angels against the Presence, attempting to wrestle control of the heavens from him. The rebellion was defeated and cast down into hell, where they became demons. Now, one of these demons was named Astar. He was a demon prince in hell who regretted his rebellion and sought forgiveness from the Presence. He made his way up to the heavenly gates and prostrated himself before the guard, the Archangel Michael. Taking responsibility for his wrongdoing and willing to accept any punishment, Astar was consumed by God's wrath and was transformed into the Spectre, God's new spirit of vengeance after the previous one, Eclipso, had been corrupted by evil. It was the Spectre who punished Cain for killing Abel. Cain is actually the immortal villain Vandal Savage.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He was also responsible for destroying Sodom and Gomorrah, and it was he who killed the Egyptian firstborns in the story of Moses. The Spectre punished mankind for centuries until the birth of Jesus, at which point the Spectre was exiled to limbo up until Jesus' death. The Spectre was released.
Why was he exiled when Jesus was born? Is he like Jesus' enemy?
Well, Jesus was like God's embodiment of forgiveness. And God's embodiment of forgiveness and vengeance couldn't exist on the same plane at the same time.
Weird. Okay. I almost feel like this is like the most bizarre church sermon I've ever heard.
So after Jesus' death, the Spectre was released and was ready to enact revenge on all of mankind, but he was stopped by Michael before he could, and was informed that upon God's decree, all the aspects of the Presence would henceforth be bound to a human host, in following with God's example of Jesus. The Spectre resisted, but Michael forced him into choosing a host, so he searched limbo for a soul consumed by vengeance. His first host was an Indian man named Chikara, who had recently been slain by a witch along with the rest of his family. Upon his resurrection, Chikara was unaware of his possession by the Spectre and thought instead that he had been given supernatural abilities by the Hindu goddess Kali. He used his abilities to enact justice until he was corrupted by a demon named Asmodeus, and as punishment, the Spectre was stripped from him, allowing him to instead be possessed fully by Asmodeus, and would from then on swear revenge against all future incarnations of the Spectre. There were many Spectre hosts throughout the centuries, and all were unjustly murdered souls consumed by revenge without the true knowledge of what brought them back and what gave them power. Until the 1940s, that is. It was then that a preacher's son turned atheist, New York police detective named Jim Corrigan was captured by the local mob, placed in a barrel that was filled with cement, and thrown into a river.
Dang.
The Spectre bonded with Corrigan while his soul was in limbo, and Corrigan returned, enacting revenge on the mobsters who killed him. Coming to terms with his supernatural power, Corrigan took inspiration from the other costumed superheroes of the day and created the persona of the Spectre. He was a founding member of the Justice Society of America and helped fight Nazis in Britain, though he and his fellow society members were unable to stop Hitler directly due to him wielding the Spear of Destiny, the same spear that killed Jesus centuries earlier while he was on the cross. When the war ended, the Spectre nearly razed all of Germany after witnessing the concentration camps, but he was subdued by the Justice Society, and shortly after, Corrigan was no longer able to channel the Spectre's powers. That changed 20 years later when Corrigan met the spirit of the Spectre that still resided within him during a seance. The Spectre spirit informed Corrigan that he had been trapped and prevented from emerging by the demon Asmodeus. Corrigan, once again able to channel the Spectre spirit, banished Asmodeus and resumed his responsibilities as the Spirit of Vengeance. After years of faithful servitude, the Presence promoted the Spectre spirit, the angel once known as Astar, from his aspect of wrath and vengeance to the guardian of heaven and hell, making him omnipotent and no longer bound to Earth or a human host. With his newfound greater power, he was able to fight beings such as the Great Darkness, which was the embodiment of the chaos that retreated before creation when God said, "Let there be light." The Spectre was also able to fight the universe-destroying Anti-Monitor, and although he lost to both him and the Great Darkness, he was able to buy enough time for Earth's heroes to plan their own attacks. While the Spectre was caught up in defending the infinite multiverse, Jim Corrigan was killed on the job, though his body was preserved by Madame Xanadu, who you can learn more about in our Etrigan vs. Ghost Rider episode. As punishment for his failures, the Presence returned the Spectre to his former rank and placed him once again in Jim Corrigan, who was once again resurrected and would remain the Spectre's host up until the 90s, after the Spectre finally exorcised Asmodeus from Chikara, granting him peace and allowing him to enter the cycle of reincarnation. To tie up other loose ends, the Spectre launched the Spear of Destiny into space. Corrigan forgave his overbearing father, the Reverend Jebediah Corrigan, and he was finally given a funeral, after which his soul went to heaven. After the demon Etrigan tried to bind the Spectre's spirit to a demon named Asmodel, the Spectre instead became bound to the soul of Hal Jordan, the former Green Lantern, who you can learn more about in our Green Lantern vs. Nova episode. During his time as the Spectre, Hal tried to alter the Spectre's mission of vengeance to one of redemption, and eventually lost control of the Spectre spirit due to their conflicting natures and the interference of the universal embodiment of fear known as Parallax, a being who was also possessing Hal and whom the Spectre had been trying to purge during his time with the former Green Lantern. The Spectre was successful in separating all three of them, though without a host, he fell victim to the manipulations of Eclipso, his predecessor, who convinced him that magic warped God's creation and was therefore evil. The hostless Spectre went on a rampage across the mystic realms of the DC universe, destroying Atlantis and the Rock of Eternity, and killing ancient wizards such as Shazam and Naboo. With the ancient mages dead, the Spectre brought the Ninth Age of Magic to an end, which caught the attention of the Presence. He bound the Spectre to a new host, a Gotham City police detective named Crispus Allen. Crispus Allen had been killed by a fellow detective who was later murdered in revenge by Crispus's own son Malcolm. Forced to enact justice by the Spectre spirit and kill his own son, Crispus became angry with God and swore he would no longer follow his command. This was put to the test during the Final Crisis storyline when the Spectre was called to kill Crispus's former partner, Renee Montoya. Compelled to carry out God's vengeance, Crispus was about to kill Renee just before the Radiant, the living embodiment of God's mercy, flew in and stayed the Spectre's wrath. The Spear of Destiny had returned by this time and was used to resurrect Vandal Savage as the biblical Cain, who used the spear to force the Spectre into rebuilding reality in the name of Darkseid. Renee Montoya and the Radiant managed to retrieve the spear from Cain, and Renee used the power to resurrect Crispus's son, bringing him peace and the willpower to fully embrace his role as the Spectre and defeat Kane. In the New 52, the Spectre is once again Jim Corrigan. Power-wise, the Spectre in his primal, hostless form is said to be the most powerful being in the DC universe, second only to the Presence. He is omnipotent, omniscient, and immortal. He can alter reality and control space and time. When he's bound to a human host, his powers are somewhat more limited to mysticism, illusion casting, intangibility, invisibility, telepathy, flight, super strength, size alteration, and possession. His only real weakness is powerful magic, like the magic that comes from the Spear of Destiny.
Okay.
Which Galactus has none of, I'm pretty sure.
No, Galactus does not have magic. So what version of the Spectre are we going with here? I'm assuming that we're going with an experienced Jim Corrigan who is able to wield the powers of the Spectre effortlessly.
Yeah, he's definitely the most effective. I've seen other Spectres, like I saw Hal Jordan get punched in the face by Green Lantern when he was the Spectre. And it's like, no, I'm not going with that one.
So what are some of the cool things that you've seen Jim Corrigan do, being one of the more powerful Spectres?
I've seen him, like, grab planets from other solar systems and, like, hurl them at his enemies, who are other, like, hugely massive demon characters.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so yeah, this will be interesting. It's like an all-powerful, like magical / spiritual kind of hero.
Yeah.
Versus an all-powerful, more science technological hero.
Religion versus science. Let's do it. This will finally declare the victor.
So what we do next is, before we run the simulations, Jonathan and I like to go ahead and speculate on and improvise a scenario in which these two characters meet up and fight.
Yeah, we imagine it's like one of the 1,000 matches that are run during the Monte Carlo simulation.
Right. So we don't set many rules for the characters, and this one is going to be especially hard. We see that they're like half a football field apart, like 50 yards kind of. But in this case, let's just say that they're, a planet away from each other. All right.
And even then,
they don't know anything about each other other than the fact that they know that they have to defeat the other one in battle. So we're going to say like this is a mid-hunger level Galactus going up against a fairly competent human host for the Spectre. And the stats that represent each one will reflect that average strength level. And then we'll just increase the distribution to account for the power fluctuations that they may have.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and get to it. So they start off, they see each other in a non-environment location because they won't be using the environment to their advantage.
Right.
But really, these guys could be in any environment they wanted to.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone would have an environmental advantage over the other.
I don't think so.
Regardless.
I don't think so.
So
unless it was like in like hell or something like that, maybe.
I kind of want to use like planets as weapons and shit. So let's just pretend they're in space, maybe.
All right, maybe.
Does that go against the rules?
It kind of does.
Let's do it anyway.
All right.
All right. Okay, so who goes first out of this? Now, Galactus, he's arrogant, but I wouldn't call him impulsive. He's pretty smart.
I wouldn't say the Spectre is impulsive either, unless he knows that Galactus has done something horrible.
Oh, Galactus has done some shit.
Yeah, I know. So he's probably sensing that, like, and right away he's like, you have killed millions of people.
Billions of people.
You have killed trillions of people. Their souls cry out to me. Feel their wrath. So then the Spectre just like summons the souls of like all the trillions of beings that Galactus has killed.
Uh-huh. From Limbo or something?
Yeah, just from wherever they were.
Okay.
He summons their souls. They all start attacking Galactus.
Well, as we all know, like a normal human being cannot hurt Galactus. He won't even feel it.
No, these are souls. These are trillions of souls.
I don't even know how that would affect Galactus.
They're like tearing into him and like draining his energy.
How do souls drain his energy?
Because I
think he would just absorb those souls because he can absorb life energy. So I think like the Spectre's like shooting these souls at him, and Galactus is actually absorbing them, and they're empowering him even more. So
he absorbs souls. Okay,
yeah. So
that's a bad move.
He absorbs these guys, and then he shoots like this big giant cosmic fireball, blue in color. He shoots like a small sun out of his fingertips toward the Spectre.
Okay, and then it just goes right through the Spectre because he's immaterial.
Okay.
And then the Spectre, he grows to like the size of like a solar system. And he just like floats over to Galactus and like enshrouds him in his cape, which alters Galactus's perception. And he makes him think that he's like this small like child.
I would say that Galactus's perception is not so easily changed because he houses massive psychic barriers within his mind. But I mean, the Spectre is pretty powerful, so who's to say? So Galactus thinks he's Galan as a child again?
Yes. And that everything has
what does that do?
When the small child turns around, there's this massive planet behind him. And this planet like grows a face with teeth and it starts chasing him and trying to eat him.
Okay, well, I'm not sure how long this psychic interference would last with Galactus. He's not really a guy who experiences the human emotions of fear. So, I mean, he was once a child, but that was not quite the same being as he is now, because he is not only Galan, but he is also the embodiment of the previous universe housed into one form.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how he would react emotionally to this type of situation. So I'm just going to say that he's going to snap out of it and then decimate the planet that's chasing him in a big explosion. And he absorbs that planet's energy.
Damn it!
So now what he does is, like, maybe he's still inside of the Spectre's cloak in this, like, illusion type thing. So he knows that he is, and he knows he's being manipulated, and he's really not going to have that. So he sends out this, like, huge omnidirectional blast from his being that, like, just decimates the Spectre's cloak and, like, sends the Spectre flying, like, a few thousand light years away from him.
Well, I don't think it would physically hurt the Spectre. It would probably destroy the illusion.
Does the Spectre not get hurt by energy blasts?
He can't really be hurt physically.
He got hurt by a punch to the face by Green Lantern.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, that's true.
The Spectre was beaten by Parallax, who was a wielder of an enormous amount of energy, probably compared to Galactus's level.
Yeah, but it's also been alluded that the Spectre lost because he wanted to lose and needed to lose.
What?
Yeah, the Presence knew that he needed to lose.
Stupid. Okay.
Okay, so the Spectre has just been knocked back, and that's when he like grabs like a black hole and just sends it hurtling towards the Galactus.
A black hole?
Yeah, why not?
Oh god, how do you avoid a black hole? Okay, Galactus sees the black hole coming, and what he does is he just teleports out of the way, out of its path. He teleports toward Spectre, you know, light years away.
Yeah.
And then just like charges up his fist with like power cosmic energy and just punches the Spectre right in the face.
And it just goes right through him again.
Spectre can't always be intangible.
Sure he can. He's a ghost. He's a spirit.
So then how is Galactus ever supposed to hurt him?
Exactly.
I think energy would hurt him because Galactus's power cosmic is not just like any old regular plasma energy. It also affects the soul. Galactus is beyond the soul gem's power. He has created soulless life forms, you know. He has imbued regular souls with awesome power. So
okay, normally I would say it wouldn't hurt him, but since you're saying he's energizing his fist, sure, we'll say the energy affects the Spectre. It hurts him.
Yes!
It impacts him. Okay, but right after the Spectre got hit, that's when he reverses time. And so he goes back to a point where Galactus's fist is like still being raised, and then he sets time back in motion. But this time he like warps reality, and Galactus just punches himself.
I don't understand what you're saying.
I don't expect you to understand. Essentially now Galactus has been knocked out by his own fist.
But Galactus can perceive things on a whole other level. At the very last moment, he throws up a shield to protect his own punch from his own self.
Oh, dang.
Which I'm guessing, the way I'm rationalizing this is that somehow the Spectre warped space itself so that Galactus's fist somehow was wrapped around the universe or something and then punched himself.
Yeah, but he blocked it. That was a good move.
Thanks, I guess.
Dude, I wouldn't expect your tiny brain to comprehend what goes on amongst cosmic battles like this.
I wonder if Galactus can actually manipulate Spectre the way he manipulates other life forms. Transmute them, depower them, you know,
I doubt
things like that.
He's not like made of atoms, you know?
Okay, so what I think he'll do is I think he'll manipulate the space around the Spectre to like contain him in some sort of like power cosmic energy field that the Spectre cannot escape from. And you can't say that he can just kind of like phase through the energy field because Galactus has been shown to be able to affect intangible forms, such as like Kitty Pryde when she goes intangible.
But again, that's like all atom stuff, you know? And the Spectre can teleport.
Oh, fuck.
But I'm gonna say he doesn't do that here.
Okay. Yeah, and while the Spectre is trapped in this like unbreakable energy cocoon, Galactus is like frying him with his power cosmic like laser vision. He's shooting it into the sphere.
So his energy could go into the sphere, but the Spectre can't escape?
Correct, yeah, because it's all power cosmic. It could go through itself. Spectre cannot go through it.
Okay, so the Spectre is being blasted by this energy, but over time, he slowly starts to absorb it. So that cosmic energy, it slowly starts to turn into like a green flame energy. Okay? So then he just channels all of that cosmic energy that he's converted into his own energy. And then forms them into like chains. Those chains just like wrap around Galactus and just like bind him. So now he's trapped.
All right. That's pretty good. And he probably can't teleport out of this, or what?
The chains will teleport with him. I don't know.
That's stupid. All right, that was pretty good, actually. All right, so what Galactus does is he summons the ultimate nullifier into the palm of his hand. Because
whoa. You just escalated this way high.
The ultimate nullifier is a part of himself, so he can summon it from wherever he wants to.
It just like teleports in his hand?
Yeah. So he points it at his chains, and he presses the trigger, and it makes the chains vanish.
Okay.
And then he points it right at the Spectre.
And the Spectre's like, oh shit, I can sense this power.
And then he fires it at the Spectre, and it just blows up the Spectre and makes him disappear forever.
So the Spectre has been, like, atomized, essentially.
Well, yeah, he's been erased from existence.
Oh, dang. I guess Galactus just stands there victorious.
Yeah.
Until he realizes that he's still within the Spectre's cloak. This whole thing is still an illusion inside of him.
I don't think Galactus is that easily psychically manipulated.
No, the Spectre's just like, good, let him think he won. He's trapped in my universe forever. He'll just starve there.
Oh my god.
Spectre wins in the end.
All right, well, I think that does it for this speculation. Let's go ahead and run the stats on these guys. This is going to be really hard, but we'll come back with the winner, guys. Okay, well, putting the stats in for this one was a little bit tricky. So what we did is we raised the median. We kind of graded these guys on a curve here. So even at their weakest, their numbers still come out way higher than any normal Earth hero, even the most powerful Earth heroes.
Right.
And that's even through increasing the standard deviation, because there's a far more fluctuation of powers that we see between these characters than we see in like your typical like Spider-Man or something like that.
Right.
So
that's more standardized.
So where like the Marvel Power Rankings grid ranks a stat at 7 if you're like the utmost powerful in it, we actually exceeded that and doubled it and went to 14. So these guys would absolutely annihilate anybody else in a duel.
Right.
But compared to each other, it came out a little bit more even, which I was surprised by.
That's really the approach we took for this, was comparing these two characters against each other.
Right.
And not really against any of the other criteria that Marvel has set up in the power grid.
Exactly, because if you look at the Marvel power grid, Galactus has 7s in every single category, including something like fighting skill.
Right.
And to me, I've never seen Galactus ever do any type of martial art. He's always been more of a brawler. I've seen him throw fists and stuff like that. But I wouldn't necessarily rank him at a 7 on, say, like a cosmic level. Of course, he would always beat someone like Iron Fist in a fist fight or something like that. But, you know, you have to...
Just through a sheer power, not through any kind of skill.
Again, we're rating it on a curve. So both Galactus and Spectre, we said that their fighting skills weren't as adept. You know, we compared each other in terms of, like, durability. We said that Galactus is more durable because he doesn't have the weakness to magic.
Yeah, Galactus's weakness is really to his own hunger, not sort of some outside element.
Right, exactly. We said that the Spectre is more evasive because, you know, he could go intangible. And while Galactus certainly has the abilities to go intangible, we rarely ever see him do that. He prefers to either just let things bounce off of him or to throw out force fields or things like that.
Right.
So more often than not, we see Galactus getting physically hit more than we see the Spectre getting physically hit. So that's the approach we took, basically. And we plugged the stats in, and we ran 1,000 simulations, and we have a winner. Do you have any idea who it's going to be?
I mean, I hope it's the Spectre, but honestly, like, I have no idea, just given the characters we're dealing with and their power levels.
Right, yeah, it was tricky. It's tricky. And hopefully we got it right. But the winner between the Spectre and Galactus is... It was the Spectre.
Yes! Yes!
It wasn't by much. They were very, very close. But the Spectre ended up winning 559 matches out of the 1,000. So Galactus only won 44.1% of the battles.
That's close, but that's still a win.
In the end, what we determined was that the Spectre has basically unlimited access to unlimited power. Galactus, however, he's a much more scientific type of character. So In order to have access to the unlimited levels of powers that he would need to defeat someone like the Spectre, he would have had to have just had his fill of planets, to be at full power levels, or Spectre would have to be struggling in some sort of manner with his human host.
Yeah, and maybe that's how Galactus won the matches that he did win.
Right. Like, I feel like the Spectre, the magical nature of his powers, he can conjure anything he wants to at the snap of a finger, whereas, Galactus, his powers are just a little bit more based in science and reality, I guess, if that makes any sense.
And that's sort of why I think the Marvel Universe as a whole is sort of at a disadvantage.
Why? Because we're more real?
DC is more fantastical.
And therefore better?
No, that doesn't mean better. How does that mean better?
Because it's more relatable and more like grounded with like clear rules that are set up by the universe that everyone can understand.
Yeah, what's the fun in that?
God, you DC fanboys. All right, but that does it for the Spectre versus Galactus episode. Hopefully that answered everybody's questions. All two of you who actually wondered who would win in a fight between these two guys. Actually, I think this match went better than I initially thought it would. I trust our numbers, and hopefully the audience does too. If you guys want to reach out to us and let us know what you guys thought about this fight, go ahead and reach us on social media, on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. And you can find us by going to our website at dynamicduel.com and getting links to all those accounts. You can also reach out to us via email at dynamicduelpodcast@gmail.com.
Also on our website, dynamicduel.com, you'll find a link to our merchandise store. Now, if you click that link on the site, it'll take you to tpublic.com. And if it's your first order and you used that link, it'll give you 15% off that order.
Yeah, get that free money, guys, and get some cool swag while you're at it.
Some cell phone cases, some pillows,
some t-shirts, a Galactus t-shirt, guys. Get a fucking Galactus t-shirt. That'll be awesome.
Yeah, that's what I'll be drawing today.
Before we sign off, I just want to remind everybody that if you guys could please share us with people that you know that have iTunes and Apple Podcast accounts. Share this show with them. Let them know that if they like it, to please go ahead and rate us on those platforms. Again, we're really trying to get to 200. We don't want to talk to you guys about this forever.
I feel like we sound like a-holes. Like, honestly, if you don't listen to us on iTunes, that's perfectly fine. We just appreciate you guys listening to us, honestly. It's not all about the ratings. It's about you guys and just, having fun and having a good time with you guys. So thanks for allowing us to do that.
Was that a subversive method to try to get them to rate us on iTunes?
No, I was sincere. That was sincere.
It is sincere. We love you guys. But that does it for this episode. In our next episode, we will be reviewing the film Superman/Shazam, The Return of Black Adam. And that is leading up to our review of the Shazam movie that comes out in a few weeks. But in the Shazam Superman movie, the Spectre has his own short film, which is why we chose to go with this Spectre versus Galactus matchup now.
Yeah, the Return of Black Adam film is actually just an anthology series of animated shorts. Right. So the Spectre has one of those shorts.
Yeah, and so does Shazam. So we'll learn about Shazam, we'll get to see the Spectre, we'll see Black Adam, we'll see a bunch of cool characters, and it'll be fun to review. So yeah, that'll be next week, and until then,
up and away,
true believers.